everybody, and welcome back to the Green Witch Homestead. Today I'm going to be starting seeds for my market plants, and I figured I'd take you along for the ride and show you some of the tips and tricks on selling at a farmer's market to help you get started on doing your own. When you think of a farmer's market, you think of tables laden with produce, fresh vegetables, and all that fun stuff. However, you can do just as good at a farmer's market earlier in the year selling plant starts. Today I'm going to be starting out a lot of my regular garden seeds for our market garden. So tomatoes, simple peppers like jalapenos and bell peppers, things that a lot of people like to buy. Personally, I like to grow a little bit more exotic stuff in my garden. I find that if you're going to be selling at a farmer's market, you really want to grow what people will buy. They're looking for Rutgers and Tomas and beefsteaks. Those are the tomatoes that they want. So I do a lot of those generics for the sales. So when starting seeds, you want to make sure that you're starting off with a good seed starting mix, which I did a previous video talking about what you need for your seed starting mix, and I will link it for you. What I do is I fill my trays, and some people moisten the soil first. I do mine outside, so I fill my trays as best as I can dry, and then I'll come over and I'll water them in, add a little bit more, and go from there. The reason I do it that way is because it allows the soil to settle better into the tray, and you definitely don't want air pockets. You want good aerated fluffy soil for your seedlings, but you don't want air pockets, because the seedling, if it gets into an air pocket, it's not going to have enough strength to get through the soil above, and it's just going to die off and rot. I just water them in, and I let them sit for a little bit to soak it all in, and you'll see right here what I'm talking about. See how that soil is got like sunken in like that? That's a little air pocket that if I hadn't done it this way could have potentially ruined my germination. So once everything's settled, I'll come through and tap them all down, squish them in, add a little bit more soil, and give them another quick water. Went ahead and made sure that I did the second water for the seedling trays and patted everything back down again, and I came and moved back inside because the wind's picked up a little bit and it's a little chillier out there. So we're gonna go ahead and start. I've got a couple trays of my cold crops that I've already planted and seeded, and then I'm going to be doing an entire tray of California Wonder bell peppers and jalapeno peppers, because those are the ones that sell the best. So these are just a simple California Wonder bell, and just like tomatoes or any other large seed plant, I usually take 2 into each cell. And I just push them down a little tiny bit because I'm going to put more soil on top. Now once I've got all the seeds in, I take a little cup of soil and just sprinkle it on top. And I found one of the best ways to pack them down is to take another tray that's got soil in it, just sit it on top, and give it a little press. Of course, your final step is your vermiculite. Once you have your seedlings in, you want to water them in again. And you will hear a lot of different things about bottom watering and stuff like that. When you first plant your seedlings, you want to make sure that your seeds are getting wet. So I top water. But you don't want to displace your seedlings. So I like to take an old soda bottle or juice bottle, and I'll take the lid, you can see that, and poke holes in it. What that does is it makes a little rain drip that I can water the top of my freshly planted seedlings, and I'm not going to risk damaging them. Alright, so this, as you see, it's a small stream of water, and you can just right over the top, and you're not displacing anything. When you're doing farmers market gardening, you have to think about who's buying your product. Especially if you're a first-time seller at the market, you're not going to have clients that know who you are, they don't know your reputation, they don't really care. They are looking for specific things, and that's what they're going to put in their garden. So you have to keep in mind the general gardener. There's nothing wrong with planting fancy breeds of tomatoes and peppers and having something that no one else has when you go to the market. However, don't rely on those being your money maker, because if you go to the market with 100 different types of fancy tomatoes that are purple or yellow or orange or green or striped, you might sell 1 or 2 plants. But if you go to the market with 100 Romas, you're probably going to sell them all, especially if they look good. So if you offer nice looking seedlings that are healthy and you know that they're going to succeed for the people that are buying them, you're going to build a clientele base. And what that does for you is it allows you later down the road to sell more fancy, unique, more expensive plants to the people that know that you're a good grower and they can rely on your product. Another thing to keep in mind when selecting plants for a market garden is your location. What do people normally grow or consume in your area? A lot of these things are things that you're not going to be aware of your first time to market. So that's why, again, you want to go with generic plants. Like, everybody knows this brand, everybody knows this breed, and they know what they're going to get, and that's what they're looking for. It doesn't matter how much information you give about an Amish paste tomato. If the person was looking for a beefsteak, they don't want it unless the tag says beefsteak. Another thing to keep in mind when considering market gardening is your stock. So this flat right here, it's all one type of pepper. There are 72 cells in there. I've got 2 seeds in each cell for germination purposes, so I have the potential of getting double what I put in there. Consider how you're going to sell them. So you could sell a single 6-pack of peppers, or you could divide them up, put them into 1-inch pots, and sell them individually and get a little bit more money out of it. It's really up to you how you want to do it, but you need to make that decision when you're sowing so that you're sowing enough that'll be ready at the same time. I'm doing 1 tray because I'm going to pot them up. I like to do that because then customers aren't stuck to buying 6 of one type. They may not have a space to have 6 pepper plants, and if I sell them individually, they can mix and match and get like a tomato or 2 different types of peppers or other herbs and stuff like that. Another extremely important thing to remember, possibly the most important thing to remember when working a market garden, is your labels. When you're doing a market garden, you have to make sure that the label on the plant is the plant that you're selling, because nothing is going to kill your business faster than a customer coming back saying that they got cucumbers when they bought watermelons. When I start a tray like this, I will only use 1 label and I'll hand write it. You can see that there. That's why I do a whole tray of 1 type, so I'm not wasting labels. And I just stick it in there. I know that tray is all that pepper. When it comes time to the actual market, be a little more creative with your labels. You want people to be able to read them easily, so you need big letters. You can be colorful. Make it look as professional as possible. Make it look like you're someone reliable that people will want to spend their money on. This is an example of one of my tomato labels. Now I have a machine that I can print and cut out my own stickers. You may not have access to that, but be creative. You can buy printable sticker paper that you can design a picture and print it and cut it out yourself. There's all different kinds of things that you can do. The main point, make it look nice. Make it look professional, and people will want to buy from you time and time again. And the other important thing with your labels, make sure that every plant has a label. If your plants don't have labels and people don't know what they're buying, they're not going to buy them. Another thing that I like to do, if you see on mine, I like to offer information, but not too much. So you've got the name of the product, you've got it's a tomato, and then if you can see it on there, it's a large slicer. If they don't want a slicer tomato, they're not going to buy this. But the tag will help them know, help them decide. It makes the whole process a lot easier on both you and them. So I hope that information was helpful to you, and I hope it gave you the little bit of a courage you needed to get out there and start your own market sales. The hardest part with doing market gardening is getting noticed, getting people to understand who you are and what you're selling. And the best tip that I can give you is enjoy what you're doing, because if you're enjoying what you're doing, your customers are going to enjoy it too. Thanks for joining me today, guys. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to follow us along as we go to the markets later on in the year. And don't forget to get your hands dirty. Have a good night.